Hey guys, welcome to this video. My name is John Watts. I'm a consumer protection lawyer, and a lot of times I'm talking with consumers or people who run credit repair places, and there's confusion about how these different laws kind of interact. And specifically, I want to talk about the FDCPA, Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, the FCRA, Fair Credit Reporting Act, and Statute of Limitations, because there are some similarities between these three, but there are also some differences. So, for example, with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, there is something called the obsolescence period. And this is the period of time. How long can a negative item stay on your credit report? And typically it is about 7 or 7.5 years. Now, this is completely different, just utterly different than the statute of limitations, which is the period of time that a debt collector or even an original creditor has to sue you. Okay, so we start off, here's where we missed a payment, we breached the contract, and now there's a period of time going forward that they have to sue. Sometimes it's 3 years, sometimes it's 4 years, sometimes it's 6 years. It can be different amounts of time, but that has nothing to do, almost always nothing to do, with the period of time that something can stay on our credit reports. Now, there are, I want to say maybe 2 states where if you go beyond the statute of limitation, it actually just like makes the debt disappear. It extinguishes the debt. Okay, that's very unusual. That's not what we're talking about, at least in Alabama and in almost every other state. So we could have something where we breached the contract, at least they say we breached the contract, and they waited too long to sue, because maybe that's 3 years, 4 years, 6 years, but they still have time to credit report. Maybe here's where the time period to sue expires, but here's the time period to credit report. So can they credit report after the statute of limitation? Absolutely, they can credit report. As long as they're within that 7, or again, sometimes it's 7.5 years for negative information to remain on our credit report. Now, what about the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act? How does all this interrelate here? Well, if a debt collector sues after the statute of limitations has expired, then normally that in and of itself will violate the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. So again, there's a period of time to sue, and let's say that, here's where we started off, and here's statute of limitation, and they sue us over here. Well, that's beyond the statute of limitation. Now, it doesn't make it a void lawsuit. Okay, we still have to answer it. We still have to respond, and we have fantastic defense. We say statute of limitations, okay? And we win that case. But it also can violate the FDCPA, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. So that's a way that the statute of limitation and the FDCPA kind of interrelate. Well, how about the FDCPA and the Fair Credit Reporting Act? How do those things interrelate? Well, with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, almost always to be able to sue the furnisher of the information. So let's take a debt collector, Midland Funding, Calvary, Portfolio, LVNV. Those guys are reporting on my credit report. Well, if I want to sue them under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, I have to first dispute with the credit bureaus. And then the credit bureaus tell LVNV, Midland, Portfolio, Calvary, whoever that is, they tell them that I've disputed. And then if that debt buyer doesn't fix it, assuming there's an error, then I can sue under the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act. But that's not my only path to get to them. I can also use the FDCPA, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and specifically it's section 1692E8 that says a debt collector is not allowed to use false credit reporting. And so if we have, here's let's say Equifax, and Midland's providing information, or Portfolio's providing information, or Calvary's providing information, and it's false information, I can dispute through Equifax using the Fair Credit Reporting Act, or if it's obvious and if I feel comfortable doing it, I can just sue that debt buyer under the FDCPA for false credit reporting. So sometimes what happens is people, and I see this a lot in the credit repair world, they'll take one concept, like maybe statute of limitation, and they're applying that to the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Or they say, well, hey, I can sue under the FDCPA without going through the credit bureaus, and so I should be able to sue under the Fair Credit Reporting Act without going through the credit bureaus. It just doesn't work that way. So there's a concept of disputed debt. So if we tell a debt collector, whether over the phone or in writing or in a lawsuit, we say, hey, I dispute this debt, they have to mark my account as being disputed if they update my account. And if they don't do that, I sue them. Well, what if I reach out directly to, Capital One or Citibank, and I let them know I dispute it and they don't mark my account as disputed? Well, generally, I can't sue them because I've got to go through the credit bureaus. And so, again, these laws are all slightly different. It's not that one is better than the other. It's just they all have their place. And our job is to sort of bring all that together when we're looking at a particular situation and say, well, can I use statute of limitation? Can I use the obsolescence period of the Fair Credit Reporting Act? Can I use the FDCPA against a debt collector? Can I use the FCRA? So we just take all these laws, and there are other laws, and look, there are exceptions to everything I've mentioned, but we take all these laws, and that's kind of our tool chest. And then we say, well, you know what? I need, to get a screw out of this thing. Well, I'm going to use a screwdriver, not a hammer. Hey, I need a hammer and nail. Let me get a hammer here. Okay, so we use the right tool for the right job. And when we do that, then it becomes very, very effective. So hope this is helpful to you, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Okay, bye-bye.